Okay, so last week we talk about the exception, right? And um, on Friday I just upload the programming examples, okay, recorded in the video, how you can program the abstraction, object, interface, and the normal class inheritance. Okay, so I hope everyone can watch that video because that video could give you a lot sense how you program the inheritance, how you do the override. Okay, I give very specific examples to help you to understand what is inheritance. Okay, this is very important. Okay, make sure you watch the video. Okay, that's also the part of the class you have to watch on Friday. Okay, so far only I guess there's three of people just watch the video. Okay, it's not what I expect. Okay, on Friday you have to watch the video. Okay, otherwise I will make some quiz on Friday. You have to after watch a video, you give me some answers. Okay, this is maybe a possible way to force you to watch the video. All right, just to make sure on Friday, watch the video and um, start your assignment. Okay, it's only 1 week left. You um, finish your assignment. Okay, it's supposed to be finished in 2 weeks. Okay, so if you still didn't like start yet, okay, this week you have to start. All right, start your assignment and watch the video I upload last week. All right, any question? Okay, so another thing I want to mention, there's some students the exam not very good. Since the exam will wait for 40% for your final grade. If your exam is very bad, it could directly to affect you from A to C. Okay, if you read the syllabus, the exam will be 40%. Okay, if the exam you very badly, you directly to move your grade to at least one grade ladder. All right, question. All right. So last week we talked about the exceptions. Okay. The, I want to ask a question. Why do we need an exception? Why do we need handle the exceptions? Yeah. Yes. One stop make you continually to run the sequence. Okay. Because the whole process of the program, it continually okay have a lot of steps. I, you don't want your application just to stop at one step. Maybe this step is non-relevant to your applications, right? For example, you program an application is called calculation. Okay, in a calculation, you have many features. For example, addition, division, multiplication, right? If one of the features, it doesn't work, one affect other features. For example, for the addition, you have some arrows. Normally, okay, for your application, one of the arrow could make your application crash, right? But if you had exception handle, okay, no matter, for example, in addition, it makes some arrows, it still can be handled. you still can use like a division feature, multiplication features, right? This is something we called why we handle the exceptions. So most of you have some experience, right? You browse your website, you create your username, password. If you make something wrong when you create an account on Inst, okay, it won't stop you, right? Just keep continually tell you, okay, there's something wrong with your maybe username, password. You need to include the special characters, right? If you didn't handle the exception, they will give you say, okay, you have to start over or crash, right? You have to input the website again or open your application again, right? This is most important things we have to handle your exception. Okay? Right. So um, last last week we talked about some method in the exception. Okay. So one of the method is called the get message. It basically will tell you some message, okay, about this exception. For example, if you look at this code, what's the problem with this code? Right? Okay. So the problem is here. You create 5 elements in this array, right? But the index 5 is means 6 elements, right? Because we know the index is a zero-based index, right? So 0 is means first element. We only create 5 elements. If you have 5 over there, it's point to 6, right? So which means there's something wrong with this code. Okay, if you only print get message, it will print 5. Okay, if I change to the toString, will tell you where is the problem. What's the problem? Okay, what's the exception? What's the message? Messages will be 5. An exception is called array index out of bound exception. Okay, if I use print stack trace, print stack trace will give you the exception, message, and help you to trace down the original code, tell you what's the problem at which line. Okay, so this gives you the line number, okay, 20. Okay, because there's a lot of the code. So the problem is come from this line. Okay, this line probably is 20. Right? So try to use the message from the exception to help you to debug the problem. This is very important, okay? Because sometimes you have no idea what's the problem. You based on the error message, you can tell, okay, what's the problem? Is this checked or unchecked? Right? So then we talk about how you create your own exceptions. Okay, once you create your own exceptions, you can use them into your own code. Okay, for example, if you want to create an exception, the only thing you need to do just extend the existing exception. Okay, if you still remember their hierarchy in this inheritance, we have an exception. We have an exception class, right? In the exception class, they have two main class, right? One is for runtime. One is for input and output, right? So based on this, you can create your own exception class, okay, to help you to categorize which exception you need to put in, okay? But as we said, if you cannot tell whether this is runtime or input output, you always can inherit exception class because this is the top, the super class you can inherit. Okay, if you inherit exception, there's no problem. Okay. Also, there's two ways you can handle the problem. Okay. The word handles means once you have these two ways, okay, they won't stop you continually use this application. Okay, one of the ways we use is throw. Okay, keyword throws, which means as long as in this method there's something you have to handle, you need put the keyword throw to handle the exception. Okay, so the comment set only required for checked exception. What that mean? There are two group exception. One is runtime. Another one is input output. Which one is checked? Which one is unchecked? Right? Okay. One is unchecked. The runtime is unchecked. Input output exception is checked. It means, okay, for some of the exception, unchecked, you don't have to handle. Okay, your Java compiler lets you to run the code without any warning. But for some of the code, for checked exception, your code have to put the keyword throw or try catch. Okay, otherwise your Java compiler do not allow you to run your application. Okay, so let's give some example. What is a runtime? For example, you have a line. It's for 12, 15, maybe A double 0. If you put this line into your application, when you click run, it still can run. But we'll give you some error code. Say division by 0. Okay? This is a runtime exception. Okay? Which means compiler can let you do. But once you run, you will come up some problem. Right? What if maybe fire, okay? We're trying to open file, okay, your application. But this fire probably won't existing. First, this is input, right? Second, you don't know about this fire exists or not, right? So Java will ask you to handle this problem in advance, which means you need to use throw in your application. Otherwise, you cannot run this code. Okay? So this means checked exception. Right? So in this example, we try to withdraw a certain amount of money, right? In here, we have exception. If amount is less than 0 and less than or less than balance, okay, you need to throw an exception. Okay, the same example over here as I taught. This is a runtime exception, which means you don't have to put the throw for this exception. Okay, but for the checked exception, you have to put something to handle. Okay, because you don't know about this file, whether this exists or not. Okay, if this code without this true word, the Java does not allow you to run this type of code. Okay, but this one you still can run, and this one you cannot run. Okay, you cannot run means you cannot even execute. Question? Okay. There's another way we can do except the throws. Okay, we use try catch. Okay, the same code. You can put the special code which may cause exception into the try block. Right? Then using the catch block to print. Okay, something maybe is warning or something you can correct the error. Right? let's say this one. We're using throw exception for this method, or we're using try catch to handle the exception. Right? Question? Any question? Yeah. So just to make sure you understand, there's two ways you can handle the exception. And the only unchecked exception, okay, required you are using the exception handle. But for the runtime exception, it's not required you put any handle code. Okay, you still can run your application. You can execute your application. Okay. Okay. So in last week, we talked about the try catch. There is a one block we called finally. Okay. The finally means no matter what happened in here, okay, they would guarantee this code to be run, to be executed. Okay, let's say the sequence of this code. First, we read this line, assign list to the S, right? Second, you put potential code, which may make some exceptions, right? Because you don't know about this user input. Probably user input could be 0, right? Could be a string. You have no idea, right? So you put here into the try block. Okay? For example, this user input would be 0. If this is 0, you will directly go to the catch. All right? This line won't be executed. We'll directly go to the catch block. In the catch block, you assign this line to the S. Okay, which means the result was error division by 0. And throw an exception message out. Then you go to the final block to print S. Okay, currently S is result was error division by 0. Exception have exception, an exception message, right? It's consistency with here. And tell you which line has problem. Okay? Make sense? That makes sense? If this one, okay, is exception, we will go to the catch block. In the catch block, they will do what they ask you to do. Okay? Then you go to the final block to execute. Okay? Basically, this line we didn't read. Right? Any questions so far? Okay. Okay. Then we talk about the package, which we call the I/O package. So in this package, we will use this package to read the file or read some input from the user and output something for the user as well. Okay, so input you can tell. Sometimes you put input from the files, input from the keyboard, right? The output could be you output something on your screen, or you save some file, your local computer. Those we consider is output as well. Okay, so if you look at this hierarchy, they all inherit from object. Okay, then you have an input string, which is used for input. Okay, if user want to input some files, some data, we use in this class input string. Also, we have output class, okay, which is output string or writer. Okay, in this class, I will give some example to help you to understand how to use those input and output class. Okay, so first, you need to know how to read files. Okay, because it's very important, right? When you're using some Word document, Excel document, you always want to read the files, right? When you open your file, this is read processing, right? So you need to understand how to read the files. First, you need to create the file object. In here, file is a class, okay? And the file constructor, you need to put the file's name, including extension. Okay, in this one, basically, we're trying to convert this file into the format what we ask for. Okay, what computer can understand. We want to convert this text file into something computer can understand. Okay, so you can convert the text file. Also, you can convert the image, music, videos, okay? Or you can include the directory, okay? Probably it's from the C drive or D drive, which folder, okay? You can include this directory, okay? Even more, you can just put the folder name, okay? After that, we will use a class, which is a scanner. So everyone familiar with scanner class, right? We use a scanner to read the data from the user, right? So here, the constructor for the scanner, you can put the object of file, okay? So in here, we try to read this file, okay? Use F as object reference, okay, to stand for this object of file. Then you put this object reference to the scanner constructor, right? But the reason we're using try over here because we cannot sure whether this file exists or not, right? Okay, once you put there, you have try and catch, okay? The catch means if there's something wrong, how you handle these errors, okay? Right now, we talk about two steps. The first step, we read the file, okay, using the file class, and put the file into the scanner object, right? since we know this file probably won't be exist, you need have something to handle, right? So here we're using try and catch. The second step, okay, we're trying to read this file, okay, and print out for the user, okay? So we use this line, scan dot next line. That means the scanner will read the file line by line and print out in this line. Okay, and what does that mean? Still remember scan dot has next. What does that mean? So this line will tell you, okay, whether we want continually to read these files. Okay, for example, your file has 1, 2, 3. Okay, the 1 in the first line, right? 2, the second line, 3, third line. Okay, for this while condition, they will make sure the next line has something. If it has something, you read this line and print out. Okay, then you determine, do we have this line? Yes. In the second line, we have 2, so we print 2. Third line, yes, we have 3, we print 3. Then we go next line, there's nothing, so we will jump out. Okay, continue with sequence. Okay, so this line helps you to continue to determine whether this is the end of the file. Okay, question? Once you finish, make sure you close the file. Okay, we use scan dot close. Okay, scan dot close. That means we want to close the string. Okay, as we know, okay, all the input and output is a string. Why we call them string? Because this is something like running water. Okay, once you open it, you make sure to close. Okay, we don't want waste our resource. Okay, there's writing files. Okay, in writing files, we use the string is called a file output string. Okay, let's look at the code. The first line, we know the location of the file and what's the file's name with extension. Okay, second, we create a Boolean variable which to determine whether we want to append the message, the data or not. Okay. Then we create the file output string f and read these two Okay, so basically file output string. Okay, we need the two variables. One variable, we need to know where the file it is. The second is a Boolean message. It tells the string whether you want to continually to add this information to the end, or you will override start from beginning. What that mean? It means if you already have string, the strings 1, 2, 3. Okay? If it's append, it's false, which means we don't want to append. We will get rid of them from start from beginning. Okay? Maybe this file tells a 132, 131, 2. Okay? If we turn this is true, that means we want to append. Okay? So original file is 123, then you add 132. Okay? Try to understand. Okay, append is true or false. What's the difference? Once we know that, we're using another class which we call the print writer. The print writer help you to write the data to your file. Okay, for example, over here, what's this two line tell us? What's the first two line tell us? What that mean? We're trying to create object of file output string, right? What's the file name they're trying to read? Right? And what this true mean? They want to append it or no? Yes. Okay, which means all the data they're trying to write, they will put something, okay, append in the end of the files, right? Then we create a print writer object. Took the file's output string as a parameter. Okay, so we put here as parameter. Then we use the method print or print line. Okay, which means we're trying to write this to this text file. Okay, the only difference between these two files, this method, one, this will write down in the end and not changing the line. Print line, they will add age 27 and go to the next line. Okay? And after that, you need to turn off the string. Okay? Just the PW dot close. If you delete this line, what happens? The happen is these two new data you're trying to add to your text file, they want to be appear in your text file until you close your print writer string. Okay, so when you program, if you say, okay, there's nothing show up in your text file, probably you forget to close. Okay, so what if this text file is empty? Okay, I'm trying to add these two data in your text file. What the output will be in your text file? It will be name dot Bob and the age 27, or age 27 will directly after name Bob. Yes, right after Bob. Okay, because this one is a print. Once you use print, they won't change to the next line. Okay, which means the following data that will go right after this line. If I change the order, okay, print line age 27, then you go with name Bob. What's the difference? The output will be age 27 and the name Bob with next line. Okay, because this line you has print line. Okay, then turn to the next line. Next line, you will write name Bob. Okay, question? Yes. If all of them, they will just keep line by line. Okay. Question? Look at this code. There's something wrong with code. Mary? Okay. There's no close. Okay, once you write in, make sure you close them. Okay, otherwise there's nothing will write into your file. Can you simulate the output? So this is the content in this data.txt text file. What's the output we'll print out? Yes. Value 2. Anything different? Okay, let's do this one step by step. Okay, first, we're trying to read the file. Okay, the file is data.txt, right? Okay, what's the first step? We need to create the object of file, right? And this file, you need to took the parameter, the file you're trying to read, right? Okay. This is the object of file. And you have this data, right? It's something will be f new file with data txt, right? So right here, we get rid of, because we know f is object reference, right? Since we only use this reference once, we don't have to use this one. We directly put this line into the scanner parameter. They are equal, right? Okay. Once we put the file, okay, to the scanner, we're trying to read the file, okay? The first line, we want to check whether they has input, whether they have data in the first line. Okay, yes, they have one. Then we try to read the first line. The first line is no, right? So no will assign to the S. Okay, then we compare S with yes. Is that equal? No. Okay, so we'll check to the while loop again to make sure there's something in the second line. Yes, there's something in the second line. We try to read and put this one to the S. Right now, S is yes, right? We go to the if. So yes equal to yes, right? So n plus 1, right? So right now, n is 1. So we go next line, we check. Yes, there's line, right? So we read this one and assign to the S. S is sure, right? Go to the if condition. Sure is equal to yes, no. Okay, we keep continuing to read. Okay, there's something in this line, right? Then we read this yes to the S and compare S with equal to S to the yes, right? So yes is equal to yes. We add this n plus 1 is 2. All right? Then we go here again. We try to read this line. Okay? There's something in this line is high. We assign the high to the S and compare S to the yes. So they are not equal. Okay? We will go to the while loop to make sure there's something in the next line. There's something in the next line? No, right? So we will jump out and print this line. The value of n is 2. Okay? Make sense? Question? How about this code? So this is the original data in the data.txt. Okay? We try to write some data to this file. Okay? So what's the contents in this file after we run this code? Data structure. Anything else? Okay, the answer is data structure. Okay, first in here, very important, the parameter you have to beware, which is over here, false. False means there's no appended. Okay, which means if we want to write something for this file, we do not add in end of the here. We will overwrite, okay, which means we will get rid of them and start from beginning. All right, so we open the file and make sure we start from beginning, okay, and put this string to the print writer, right? And this writer, we're trying to write this line, data structure. Okay, and last, we just close this string. Okay, so basically, we'll put this one as first beginning, override this line. Okay, the data we will print is data structure. Okay, that makes sense? Yep. Yes, they will add from here data structure. Same line. In this one, this method, print. Question? Any question? Good. So this week I will update a quiz for last chapter. Okay, and um, make sure start your assignment as soon as possible. Okay, you can ask me any question. Okay, from this week, right? Um, so on this Friday, I will give some examples, coding examples, as a video. Okay, about how to write and read files. Okay, using the existing method we talked about in the class. Okay, just to make sure watch the video. All right, question. Good, that's for class today. Thank you.